After completing a Bachelor of Science, I joined my family business during June 1995. Earlier, my uncle was convincing me again and again to avoid Bachelor of Engineering or engineering degree from any outside state. Then I opted for Bachelor of Science from Delhi University and I got degree in July 1995. By then I had already completed 1.5 months in our family business factory, and I was indulged in quality control, manufacturing process, and sometimes dispatch activities and sales promotion or sales management also. But during 1998, due to differences between the founder partner, that was my father, and younger uncle with other uncles, we were forced to discontinue the partnership deed, and then on November 1998 all the deeds were dissolved and we got some share of money which was inappropriate, but we were forced to accept those deals. Then I had never imagined or planned my career. For about 6 months I kept on thinking again and again. Sometimes I visited various trade fairs, received brochures about new projects and bought some project reports also, but since I had experience in bathroom fittings only or manufacturing processes and links of procurement was also there, and I had experience of due to which I had no other option but to buy another factory or a vacant factory in industrial area phase 2. And before expanding my network of sales and production activities, due to awareness and strict rules I had already achieved in developing India's first effluent treatment plant, air ambiency test reports and sound pollution test reports were also gathered from DCM and Delhi test houses, but due to lesser investment and other restrictions and the absence of any established brand, I was forced to close that factory in 2003, since I had applied for orange category and those corrupt Delhi Pollution Control Committee and member secretary tortured me a lot, and that is explained in my pollution blog www.pollutionindelhi.wordpress.com. And my father insisted to buy a showroom near my Sundar Vihar 240 square yard house, and it was a 200 square yard single floor showroom, and other showrooms were also existing in the vicinity. Even now those residential area showrooms are flourishing day by day. and my distant relative offered a suggestion of that showroom, and even then I was forced to accept that proposal due to my aged father, and many consequences of harassment were still stagnant in his mind, and he wanted me to spend a lavish and comfortable lifestyle, because by then I had already suffered a lot of physical and mental torture for about 8 years earlier in the joint company, and then in a separate unit which was established to some extent. We had about 45 workers and several machines and capabilities to develop superior quality bathroom fittings were achieved, and my supply was also sufficiently giving us profits. But the only drawback was the application for India's first environment friendly bathroom fittings manufacturing industry. But the purpose of my vlog is trying to explain the hidden businesses which I left during the past vlog, and I promise you that I will complete it in the next broadcast. So my uncle was very violent, and he attacked my father with a large emergency light which weighed about 25 to 35 kilograms, and it possessed steel corners and edges which were very sharp enough, and it provided a blunt and brutal attack on my father's head, and blood was seeping everywhere in the factory near the electroplating plant, and the powder coating or PVC powder manufacturer which was existing exactly opposite my factory facilitated him to the hospital, and he got stitches and managed to return back. By then I was trying to lodge a FIR, but I failed. That was the greatest blunder and failure on my behalf, that I failed to insist the cops to register a first information report. But by then all the major clients like Ideal Orient, Khurana ji had visited the premises, and he was forcing us to discontinue all the partnership deeds immediately as soon as possible, because he wanted to suppress the issue and wanted to protect his own reputation. Because when the industry was established during 1972, he was also there with my founder uncle, and who expired few years ago. Then that is a separate aspect. I tried to establish the electronic era, and I tried to start a franchisee company known as Next, and Mr. Dhoot also betrayed me on the behalf of Manoj Didde, who visited my house, accepted tea with all of my family members, and then he betrayed by claiming that he is getting better investment from Samsung Paschim Vihar. But and he tried to blackmail me, and I promised 14 lakh investment, but he was gradually increasing after each call, and he might have got better proposal from Paschim Vihar Samsung, and then they started. I had direct links with Samsung, Hyundai, Electrolux, Casio, Sony Ericsson and other major electronics brand. Even I tried to keep the stocks of every product in my showroom. By 2000 5 and 6 ceiling drive started in Delhi, and I was forced to close that showroom also, just because of the fact that I denied bribe to the visitor. That was a Delhi Development Authority executive who was demanding keypad phone from me, like Tata Indicom keypad phone, but I denied that phone because I was extremely against bribe and corruption. That was also a drawback. I had already mentioned to my family members that we are starting a new business, but I will definitely find troubles because I am not accustomed to bribing. During the partnership factory, we were collectively giving bribe to excise commissioners, sale tax officers also, but most of the time my cousin, brother and other people were always accompanying me, due to which it was easier for me to accept that kind of corruption activity. But since I was alone in the new factory and showroom also, then we were forced to shut down that showroom also, because notices kept on impounding on us and we failed to attend all of them. And my father was slightly timid in nature all the time. He used to say that you will be kept inside the bars just because of opening a showroom. Why are you troubling yourself? Why are you facing such issues? You should keep yourself away from every anxiety, because you are my only son and I don't want to find yourself indulged in any kind of hassle, especially in dealing with these kind of senior authorities who don't have anything else, just their motive is to collect a bribe only. And then I tried to search many properties near Gurgaon and in Paschim Vihar also, and we visited Greater Noida also, and failed to find or convince any builder to search a good property with land rights. And even the buyers of our properties started blackmailing that both of your showroom and factory will be sold in one deal only. It is not possible to sell the showroom, because we wanted to sell the showroom only. I wanted to invest some money and then continue the education of my son in Delhi only, and I wanted to invest that money in any flat, and for the meantime I can get some time to start any other business with lesser investment. But all those property dealers were collectively blackmailing us. Then I was forced to migrate to this city, that is Panchkula, from my hometown Delhi, where I was born during 1973, and from 1973 to 2007 means about 34 years I lived there and tried to establish my career, but it was not possible at all without bribing those flesh Indians who are such corrupt in nature. So all the consequences were result of other torture, harassment and violence on my family members, and sometimes I think that it was pre-planned, and sometimes I think it was my destiny, and sometimes I think that they don't deserve to live with me. And so I visited here during 2006 December and gave some advance to the property dealer for this house, and the remaining money was kept in my State Bank of India and other accounts till I was forced again to start a business with that property dealer or construction company owner, because he didn't help us to buy any shop, because I wanted to buy a small shop in favor of that showroom which I had closed, because those properties managed to get multiple times cost value. Even now, if those were sold at 2.25 crores, they can fetch about 25 to 35 crores, means about 10 to 15 times and during 2007, 8 or 10 itself, they managed to multiply by 4 or 5 times. Even now, the property values are too high in Delhi, and I can't even imagine to get compensation of everything which I lost in past decades. So ultimately, we had to start another business. It was construction company, and the purpose of my vlog is that due to corruption and every torture, I had opted to learn computer hardware and fab designing during 2007 itself. Or I completed 1 month course in hardware engineering or simple computer repair from Jet King, and another 10 days from Btech India in Pashchim Vihar. And after completing those 2 courses, I had never imagined that I will be forced to start more businesses without my permission or consent. I tried to get job from India Mart also. I was selected, and when I visited that Noida office, an interviewer asked me a few questions, and she said, "Where will you find yourself after 10 years from now?" I said, "I will be working with India Mart only." But she said, "Okay, even if I will select, how it is possible for you to come from Sundar Vihar?" I said, "I will buy a property here only." But she think that it is not, whether she assumed that it is not practical for me, or whether she didn't thought that I have that much talents, because it was only a 10 days course that was HTML and JavaScript only. And whether they found that I was their client a few years ago, because India Mart's web page was the reason from where they got my addresses, and they were torturing me that you had a web page in India Mart also, and there are other companies which have some web pages. The only benefit which I got from India Mart web page, indiamart.com, Civic India, was that few international buyers from Grohe wanted to buy some products, but that was the time when I had already suffered a lot because of corruption in Delhi. You should read www.pollutionindelhi.wordpress.com. So from 2007 to 2011, I was working in a construction company as a business partner or investor. In some plots I had shared about 20% to 15%, because these stories are important, because at least 5 or 6 YouTube subscribers are definitely there who are continuously watching me, because that's the only number of views I got consistently. Otherwise, randomly many people can arrive, and some stories are definitely secret which are mentioned in text format in my Facebook profiles, but I have never disclosed right now in any YouTube or video broadcast. During 2011, I was living alone in this city. My family members had already returned back to a rented apartment in Subhash Nagar and sometimes in Dwarka. Even my father was disagreeing living with me. He was living in Tilak Nagar and then Ghaziabad, and I was living alone. And the partnership deed was also running slightly profitable, but not sufficient for our expenses, because I had bought a car from my first profit. That was the only profit which I got after discontinuing. When I sold about 2 plots, and I got some 8 lakh profit which I spent in a car, because I had to drop my son about 12 kilometers from here, and those petrol cars seems to be very expensive. That was the only profit which I got in past 20 20 years after closing my factory. And then that car was also troubling me a lot, because a live mouse was found in that car, and it troubled me a lot. Sometimes I had to spend 50,000 and once 25,000 in repairing, and due to the troubles and harassment by authorized car repair mechanics, I visited Sardar Motors and then I started web designing as a promise which I gave him. And when I provided about 25,000 advance for the floor, and he completed my engine overhauling in 50,000, and I paid him 25,000 afterwards, because other authorized dealers failed to repair my car, and I had spent 48,000 and that was CIDI engine. The talented technicians were not available even on authorized service centers, and they wanted to cheat me by installing TDI quality air, or many parts were not available. Even I managed to get the center locking from Tuli Motors, and Chandigarh or Panchkula people were not giving me any replacement for any product. But I was visiting Delhi continuously within one a week or twice a week for my son, since he was studying in Cambridge Foundation School for 2 years. After studying in Delhi Public School in Pinjore, when they returned back to Delhi for 2 years. But when I was living alone, I was forced to start another mobile repairing business here only, and the hidden motive was, if at all probable causes my family decide to return back, what will I write in the admission column or business profession column of the admission form. And we managed to return back just because I insisted that I am feeling alone and I have a lot of responsibility in mobile repairing company, which is also India's first multi-brand mobile repairing company franchisee, and a Chinese company is insisting me to continuously look and deeply concentrate and get yourself indulged in all the activities. I need some help from my family. Then my family decided to return back for helping me, and we are living here from 2009 continuously, and it is 2022, and from 2011 I am designing websites of some clients. But now from past 4.5 years I am also indulged in Google Ads, which is meant to spread the business activities of my customers and what people are searching for, and tailor-made ads are prepared by me, and various YouTube videos are also prepared for the clients. And I used to get some kind of monetization also on their behalf so I am competing with large companies who are providing enormous money to the talented influencer throughout the world, and they are getting good revenue, but I fail to get success in YouTube also, because most of the time I was concentrating in designing website and search engine optimization for the existing clients, and I had to look into their SSL certificates, their Google listing, and whether they are getting good hits or not, and sometimes their social networking profiles were also being designed by me, like Dharamshala land, which whose owner is so much unaware of the social networking sites. During those days I taught him a lot, and he managed to get 2000 subscribers in Facebook only, and various clients cheated me a lot because I was not so much interested in gaining profit from them. That is not completely their fault. I had already suffered a lot. I don't wanted to take more risk in providing them bills for the websites, and then whenever inquiries will be solicited on their companies, it was a great probable sometime that their clients or sellers, buyers will also taken into consideration. Sometimes the bills are sent to sales tax authorities and various income tax authorities also. I had already suffered a lot, and just for the sake of 2000 8000 rupees per year, and whose profit is only 50% or 60%, even if I would have intended to get that profit, it would have been a great risk for me, and I would have placed my own family in those risks also. And even while working at home, even now I am providing them freelancing. I am not charging them anything, but people think that it is very easy to monetize YouTubes and then place advertisements on the successful influencer, but it is not such an easy task, because we have to compete with multinational companies who are offering them better impression shares and better cost per click than us, and we have to take into that consideration. During auction we have to increase the price, sometimes we have to increase the location and change the audiences also. Sometimes I have to change the budget, and sometimes I have to delete some non-performing bloggers from the list, and sometimes I have to watch their broadcasts also. Thanks a lot for watching till the end, but I would definitely request you to search Pollution in Delhi in Spotify and find my podcast there, and keep on sharing those podcasts so that the corrupt will collapse everywhere, every state, in every country also.